We have an audience! Hello! And welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the first vaccine is in.
90-year-old grandmother Margaret Keenan becomes the first person in the world to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 jab following its clinical approval.
In what will be the start of the biggest immunisation programme in the country's history.
It was fine. I wasn't nervous at all. It was really good.
Good on you, Margaret. Mind you, I don't know if you watched her taking the injection. I can't believe she didn't take the piss. You would have done, wouldn't you? Just when it popped in. OK, just going to pop it in. OK, no problem. You would, wouldn't you? Just before you went in, just sellotape a tail to your ass. What have you fuckers done? Did you see the name of the guy who was up next?
The second person to receive the jab, incredibly, is this man, William Shakespeare from Warwickshire.
I mean, he must have taken the piss. You all right, nurse? Which ward do you want me on? 2B or not 2B? It is brilliant news. Matt Hancock went on the telly and pretended to cry.
You're quite emotional by that.
Well, it's just, it's been, it's been such a tough year for so many people.
I can't believe I'm going to keep my job. So how did Jonathan Van Tam explain it? How do you think?
The train has now slowed down safely. It has now stopped in the station and the doors have opened.
Mr. Choo-Choo stops the flu-flu. There's more. Listen to how he explained the logistics.
It's not a yoghurt that can be taken out of the fridge and put back in multiple times. It's really tricky to handle.
Two things. One, I think we all knew it wasn't a fucking munch punch. And two, who's eating half a yoghurt and putting it back in the fridge?
I better save that for later. I don't want all this yoghurt fun at once. Dano.
It gets madder. Look what Boris called it.
We're kind of biological jiu-jitsu.
It's biological jiu-jitsu, which is also my safe word. Now, worryingly, not everyone is convinced by it.
A Snap poll by YouGov has found that although the UK traditionally has a high take-up of immunisations, 1 in 5 Britons is not confident the vaccine is safe.
It's not safe. You don't know what's in it. You're eating a kebab. It's full of chemicals. You're vaping. I ain't having it. I will never have it. I will never put that muck in my body. Well, if you don't have it, you can't go on holiday. Fucking whack it in, mate. It's pretty scary. One journalist explained it perfectly.
If people aren't prepared to roll up their sleeves and get the jab, it doesn't matter how good the science is. It doesn't matter how effective the vaccine is. It ain't going to work if it stays in the bottle.
Exactly. So, how are the NHS trying to convince people? Detailed adverts showing the science? Nope. They're recruiting sensible celebs and the royal family. The royals? I can't wait to see Prince Philip. Come on, Britain. It's only a little prick. Or as I like to call it, Prince Andrew.
Philip's right. This jab is completely legit. Unlike the fucking Crown. Netflix and kiss my asshole, you wankers!
How great would it be if Liz went full train spotting? Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, it's good. Oh, it's really fucking good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is better than the hippie crack we did at Rita Ora's. I mean, I wasn't there, man. I wasn't there.
Now, talking to celebs, some of them are desperate for it.
I've already said I'll have it in both arms and both legs.
I will be there as soon as it's my turn with my sleeve rolled up and my arm out, and I am absolutely ready and I have no concerns and I have no worries.
If it helped get the message over, I'd take it live on air. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll take it with you, Piers.
Yeah. I'll take it with you. We could be best friends, yeah? Do you sleep over around mine, yeah? My mum fucking lets me stay out whenever I want. I wasn't crying. I was not crying. Now, amazingly, the public agreed with Matt. It turns out 2/3 want Matt Hancock to be given the COVID-19 jab on live TV. In fairness, they'd also like to see him tasered, pegged and circumcised by a baby alligator. And it's no wonder they want him injected first. People don't trust MPs, and it's hardly surprising. I mean, take last week. Rather than dealing with the largest vaccine programme in British history, what were they doing? Squabbling about snacks.
The national debate has moved on to how big a Scotch egg has to be.
I think a Scotch egg probably would count as a substantial meal.
You can have a Scotch egg as a starter.
You can eat a substantial Scotch egg with your pint.
I myself would definitely scoff a couple of Scotch eggs.
I don't know, is it one Scotch egg, is it two?
I like a Scotch egg, but I won't be eating one publicly.
You're in Parliament, not a wild bean cafe. Why the fuck are they talking about Scotch eggs? What next? Will wine gums get you drunk? Is it scone or scone? I think this lady puts it best.
Shut up, you cunt!
Elsewhere this week, some parts of Britain are opening up.
Thousands of non-essential shops reopened this morning, with many stores slashing their prices to attract people back.
I bet people were delighted.
To be honest, I'd rather online shop. Half of these shops, rubbish what they've got in.
It's a bit old banker wank, isn't it, Gary?
No, the shops may be shit, but their signs are brilliant. Doorbell broken, yell ding-dong really low. It wasn't just shops opening up. This may be the most British headline ever. Drinkers hit pubs by 8:30 a.m. to get first pint after lockdown. Finally, life can return to normal. Barman, fetch me some cornflakes and a pint of whiskey. It is breakfast time. People were calling it Wild Wednesday. Presumably because they couldn't call it Dad's Got a Problem Day. No, You've Shit Yourself Day. I'll say this now, if you're drinking outside in December, it's not wild, it's feral. Look what this pub did to feed our addiction. Tequila Bar applies to become church to beat Tier 3 rules. Well, that is going to change the hymns. He's got tequila and brandy in his hands. He's got the barmaid's tits in his hands. He's got the policeman's handcuffs round his hands, and it's not even 10 a.m. All things bright and beautiful, 5 Jaegers on the bar. I'm so pissed that I just tried to have sex with my car. Cough, mate, I've got a Scotch egg. Diplomatic immunity. I'm not surprised pubs are making changes. Some people are so desperate to get out, they're tweeting about it, but not always careful about what they tweet. Fuck this pandemic. I miss eating out with my friends. With my friends! I miss eating out with my friends! Either that or she really misunderstood this. Elsewhere this week, football is back.
Today, for the first time since the first lockdown, football fans returned to the stands to watch a Premier League game.
That meant temperature checks outside the stadium, wearing masks, and on into a sparsely populated stadium.
And not only that, the government says fans should be discouraged from singing and chanting. That is never going to happen. There's more chance of Millwall fans not being arseholes. Did you see what happened?
Controversy also returned when some Millwall supporters made their thoughts clear after players took the knee.
What a bunch of racist morons. This is England, not Africa. Your mascot is a lion, you fuckwit. It's so frustrating because most football fans are wonderful, funny people. For example, here's a steward removing an inflatable penis. And here is the crowd's reaction. They want our dick back! Over in America, the tiny-handed bullshit machine spoke to the nation.
This may be the most important speech I've ever made.
So, was it about COVID, a plan to reset the economy? What do you think?
This election is about great voter fraud. Fraud, 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 outright fraud, 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 fraud. It was about fraud.
Was it? Some of his excuses were ridiculous.
The Democrats had this election rigged right from the beginning. They used the pandemic, sometimes referred to as the China virus.
Yeah, by you, sometimes referred to as the tango twat, but continue. How did they use the pandemic?
As an excuse to mail out tens of millions of ballots, which ultimately led to a big part of the fraud.
No, people wanted to vote remotely so they wouldn't die of COVID. Anything else?
It is statistically impossible that the person, me, that led the charge lost.
You don't know about statistics. You can barely pronounce it.
Statistics.
You lost the popular vote by 7 million and the Electoral College by 74. Read those statistics. By the end, he was just rambling.
I have a lot of friends in Detroit. They know it.
I got a lot of friends in Bristol. What's your point?
There is no one happier right now than China.
I don't know. What about this guy?
Hey, buddy, what are you doing?
Do you know why he's so happy? He nicked this guy's teeth. It wasn't just Trump. Did you see his press secretary displaying the evidence?
We are fighting new lawsuit today. Where is the evidence? Right here, Sean. We have been granted discovery. I have 3 binders, literally hundreds of pages. We have a number of affidavits. Read through some of these affidavits. 234 pages of sworn affidavits. All of the circles are different ballot numbers. They're startling, Sean.
She's having a breakdown. How long before she's like this?
I got these. I got this. I found this. I got this guy. I found this. This looks like the face of a liar.
Lot of fun, man. Lot of fun. Your hair gets... I don't know how you do it, ladies. Your hair gets everywhere. So... anyway. So... I kept doing that to get it right. So, is all this bitching working? Not really. Look what happened when Trump paid for a recount.
The Trump campaign requested and paid $3 million for the partial recount. In the end, Joe Biden increased his lead by 87 votes.
Donald Trump effectively paid $3 million to increase Joe Biden's lead.
I think I speak for everyone when I say, Join me after the break when I'll be chatting to football legend Jamie Redknapp. the show. It's time for life lessons, and I asked the guys, if you could swap your life with someone else, who would you choose?
I would love to life swap with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is a massive idiot. Donald Trump is such an idiot, it's an inspiration to people like me, because it sometimes helps being so stupid you don't even care.
I want to live the life of a cat in Egypt at the high point of making pyramids, because those guys were treated like princesses and cats don't show any loyalty to anyone. That's a life for me.
Lil Wayne, Eminem, Missy Elliott, Keith Lemon.
I would like to life swap with Jeff Bezos so that I can also have an Amazon Prime account.
He's my spirit animal.
I would not love to life swap with anybody. Maybe Stormzy when he was with my jammer. Oh, yeah.
If you say anyone other than Beyonce, you're stupid. You wasted a life swap. On who? I don't even need a full day. Give me 4 hours. In Beyonce's skin. I sound like a stalker. Okay, I should probably stop while I'm ahead.
Lindsay, she looks fair. She sounds amazing. And I would love to have all that confidence. I would spend the whole time checking myself out in the mirror.
I would like to life swap with Ruth Langsford, you know, the TV presenter. I think, like everyone, I'd just like to know what it feels like to have Eamon Holmes inside me.
If there was someone I could life swap with, it would be a white man. You know, just to see what all the fuss is about. Anyone will do, not even a rich one. Like this guy here, the guy filming this, he'll do. Jay, I'll do you. Let's swap. Just to see, you know? I want the power.
I would love to life swap with my pet dog, Mick, because he is living the dream. He can lick his testicles in public whenever he likes. I don't know if I want to do that, but what an option to have. He gets fed, he gets watered. It's crazy. When he shits on the pavement, my partner picks it up. When I shit on the pavement, stay in a hotel.
It's time for the part of the show where I book the guest and you ask the questions. This week, I had the pleasure of chatting to the broadcaster and ex-Liverpool legend, Jamie Redknapp.
Jamie Redknapp! Oh!
After a career that saw him play for England as well as captain Liverpool and Tottenham, Jamie Redknapp has since gone on to become a beloved football pundit and a team captain on a league of their own. And now, he brings us his new autobiography, Me, Family and the Making of a Footballer. Jamie, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Very well indeed. Now, you've got a new book out, Me, Family and the Making of a Footballer. And what I love at the beginning, I love the way that you talk about your relationship with the football. It really spoke to me because it's a bit like Harry Potter describing a wand. And it is a magical thing, isn't it, when you're a kid and you suddenly realise, wow, where's this been all my life?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I was so lucky. Obviously, I had a dad that used to bring, every now and again, a new football would appear, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And I talk about, there's one part in the book where I talk about the ball from America with it, I think it was the NASL. Yeah. And this ball was like you say, a magic wand. It was something so special. It is somewhere. Even my dad's got it, or I've got it in my garage. I have to try and find it, Russell, because it was so beautiful. And because you know what it's like as kids, and I'm sure you were the same. I know you're a big football fan, but you find that ball somewhere when you're a kid, and it's like normally all the panels are missing. There's no leather on it anymore. But this one was always the ball that you brought back indoors and looked after it and cleaned it. It was just it was like a piece of stardust, if you like. It was so cool.
Obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan, and now you're a fixture on TV. I feel like I know everything about you, but what I didn't know is that you've got OCD. Now, normally, when people talk about OCD, it's putting their, cans in the right order, they're getting their shoes neat, or they're making sure they shut doors. the way that you discovered you had OCD is fucking mental. Like,
Go on.
to do with your feet, right?
Yeah, weirdly, it was when there was a lady called Evelyn, and she was, when we lived in the US, she became friends with my mum and dad, and she came over to England. She's never been to England. She came over to stay. So in the living room, we used to sit down at night after, you know, having a bit of dinner, and she used to sit there and start biting her toenails. And I said, ooh, that's a bit weird. Anyway, because she was into her yoga and stuff like that, I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. I'll see how far I can get my leg into my mouth. And then I obviously then picked up this disgusting habit. But what I didn't realise at the time, Russell, was that it was something that's going to benefit me later in life, where I'm pretty good at it now, actually, mate. I'm not far. I can normally used to be able to get my leg over my head. And when you play football, you're always looking to get your body into different, you know, parts and contort your legs up. And, you know, if the ball's up there, you want to be able to try and bring it down. So I looked at it as a positive. You know, biting your toenails, who would have thought that would help you be a professional footballer? Well, you know what, I was onto something, mate, before anyone else.
But I just don't understand. How old were you when you saw her doing this?
I was only about 25.
But it's that thing of...
No,
so
I was about 8 or 9, I guess.
So do you still do this? Do you still chew your toenails?
Do you know what? My knees are not as good as what they used to be. I can nearly get it. I can do a little try. I'll see how far I can
Yeah,
get.
let's see if you do it.
Well,
Yeah.
quite tight jeans on though, mate. Quite tight jeans. I can get sort of like quite high, but not high enough, as you can see. But
I mean, if that does...
you can see that there is the promise. You know what I mean? That would go to practice. It's good. It feels right.
I'll tell you, mate. If that doesn't make it onto a specialist website, nothing will. But the idea of you trying to put your feet in.
It's funny you say that. Some guy on Instagram kept sending me these things about feet, and it was. I must have been like, my feet were the feet of the week, and they kept sending me pictures like where someone had taken a picture in Miami of my son on the beach, no top on or anything like that. But it wasn't that they were interested in; it was the feet. There was obviously people that do, you know, these fetishes out there. But
let's not muck around. You're a good-looking lad, but I imagine your feet are rancid. Because
no, I'd say, to be honest, mate, because I've manicured them over the years, been biting my nails. They're actually quite nice. You'll be surprised.
Really? That surprises me, because footballers' feet. But I was going to say, like, normally, you know, you've spent a lifetime smashing leather that they're normally battered. So the idea that they're kind of looking at your feet, I find fascinating. Now, it isn't just me. We've got a couple of questions from fans of yours. Now, the very first one, apparently this guy's a huge fan.
Jamie, my question for you is, what is your happiest memory from A League of Their Own? And I'll caveat that by saying it has to be a memory that involves me. Can't be from before I joined the show or after I left, right? No one's buying that anyway. I know that when I was on, you said those were the glory years, and when I said that I was leaving, you cried every night. So don't try and be like, oh, my happiest memories when me and Romesh went go-karting and then wanked each other off. No one's buying it. Happiest memory from the glory days. Go.
Oh, done. The glory days. Okay, we'll talk about the glory days. I must admit, we had some brilliant times on the road trips. Swimming back from Alcatraz, that was a great moment. But do you know what? I'm so fortunate, and I know you've been on the show, and we've had some great comedians like Romesh, John Bishop was on for many years. So yeah, I wouldn't say they were the glory days. They were called the all right days. You know, it's more glory days now.
Well, what's interesting about A League of Their Own is that you used to be a massive fan of Question of Sport, and you were obsessed with Ian Botham as a kid, is that right?
It's true. When you're a kid, obviously that was one of the main programmes on the BBC. And I didn't realise until I started, because I want to get on Question of Sport. It was one of those things, but you couldn't go on Question of Sport if you just merely played for Liverpool. The only way you could get on Question of Sport in those days were if you were an international footballer or cricketer or tennis player.
Oh, is that right? So you had to play in this... Oh, OK.
You had to play for your country. So as soon as I played for England against Colombia, one of the first things afterwards was, now I can go on Question of Sport. It was quite weird.
That's hilarious. Right, we've got another question for you, Jamie. This is from Facebook. Do you regret wearing those cream FA Cup suits? Do you regret that?
Of course, I regret it purely because we lost the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I regret the glasses as much as I do the suit.
Controversially, I liked them. I remember that was... So I'm 15 years old, this.
But I guess... When I look back, I think, wonder why nobody said, like, guys, I was 21. I wasn't in a position as a young man to go, look, we're not wearing these white suits. I was just, like, doing what I was told. But it was just a stupid mistake. And, yeah, I look back, do you know what though? That's life. We all make mistakes. It was a. You know, at
Absolutely.
the time, we thought we'd get a free Armani suit. This is brilliant, but it didn't quite work out the way it did. I'm not even sure. There's a rumour, like, because it's Giorgio Armani. It wasn't even that well made. I think it was his brother Freddie or something, because it was never so badly made, mate. Honestly.
I've got another question here from Scott Williams, who says, "Why did you opt to go into TV and commentary and not football management?"
It's a really good question, actually, because I retired at 31, Russell, and it was a case of. It was quite difficult to take because anybody that knows me will, that football has always been my life. So when that all of a sudden gets taken away from you, I almost wanted a couple of years just to get my life in order and see what was going to be the next chapter. I always felt that I would go into management, and my dad always, he always says to me even now, you make a good manager, your knowledge of the game and how much you love the game, that's what you'd have to have. But I sort of got it. I came out of football. Started working at Sky. Loved the punditry work, and then League of Their Own came along and other bits and pieces. And it's all of a sudden, time's just flashed by, and I'm loving what I do. And I thought to myself, if I go into management, you can have 6 months doing it. Might work out, might not. Before you know it, you could be sacked. There was part of me that look at Frank Lampard, who's my cousin. I think I was yesterday at the game, the Chelsea game, and I think that buzz, when your team wins, or if things go well, and you made a tactical substitution, or you bring on a player and they perhaps don't do well, how you deal with those situations. I have that little bit of jealousy, and I think I'd love to do that. But as I say, right now I've got so much going on in my life, but I would never say never. Like I'm addicted to football.
Yeah, no, totally, man. We've got a question here from Tallulah, who says, "Would you ever do I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?"
No, do you know what? I get up to the last 2 years, my agent has actually said to me, look, they've asked you to do it. Would you do it? It's not something I fancy doing. I do enjoy it. I love watching the programme. It's, out of all the reality shows, it's the one that I like watching. I'm terrible, like even all the eating challenges. Anyone who watches League of Their Own would soon realise I'm terrible at those sort of things. I can't hold anything down, Russ, so I'll be struggling.
I mean, you'll eat your own toenail, but you won't eat...
Do you know what? No, I don't eat it, actually. Let's just go. I should have clarified that for people before they've switched off.
So I remember talking to you when your dad went into the jungle. What was that like to watch your dad on a show like that? That must have been a real headfuck, just every night.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I knew people would like him because he's very down to earth. He has a unique ability to make people feel special. And he just smashed it. He was great. He was himself. And I think the bit where Mum came in and they had that moment it was so lovely. And it's real. There's no side to my dad. He adores my mum. He knows how lucky he is to have her. And I think they're the perfect partnership, to be honest, because she lets him do what he wants. He's very, in a way, in a nice possible way, he's quite selfish, my dad. If he wants to watch horse racing, he's watching horse racing. He won't turn around to my mum and say, do you know what, son? Do you want to watch someone else today? It's like, no, it's the 3:30 at Kempton. Unlucky.
In terms of writing the book, the way that you describe your mum and your nan, it's clearly very strong women in your life that played such a vital role in helping kind of mould you, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like your mum just seems like this, and your dad as well, but your mum seems to be this almost like your dad's coach. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That kind of making sure everything was done. There's something really nice about the way you write about the women in your life. I really like that.
Everyone always talks about my dad and how amazing he is and what a character, etc., etc. But my mum she's the star of the show.
I love the bit where you were saying she was doing everything and your dad does the stories.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really great. Yeah.
But she was such a character. My dad, such a big character, but my mum has that softness, and I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, every day I speak to my mum, I check in, make sure she's okay, and it's always been the way. And when I went to Liverpool as a 17-year-old, I missed the terribly. So it was a tough time, but. She's incredibly, she's the kindness and the light that you need sometimes, because my dad's a bit old school. He wasn't the sort of person that would, you can't imagine getting the birds and the bees conversation with Harry Redknapp, can you? Well, you wouldn't want it really, but, my mum was that person that you could just always have that conversation with and have that, she was, if you have ever any worries about anything.
Yeah. Right, we've got another video question here.
Hi, Jamie, Ramesh here. My question for you is ever since I've known you, or even before I've known you, I have known, as has everyone, that you are smoking hot. Like blazing hot. Like interplanetarily different species hot. The force is incredibly strong in you. I mean, I feel less attractive, and I'm not that attractive anyway, but I feel even less attractive when I'm in the same room as you, same building as you, mentioned in the same conversation as you. So what I want to know is, how hot does Jamie Redknapp think he is? How hot do you think you are? How hot do you know you are? How hot are you, in your opinion? Thank you.
What do you say to that, mate? Oh, come on.
I asked him, I said, have you got a question for Jamie? And that's what he sent me.
Well done. I find that very difficult. You know what, as well, I'm not going to talk about me, but that's very kind that you said that. Do you know what? I think Romesh is looking great at the moment.
Mate,
you know,
I'll say that. That's what I thought. I was like, holy shit, he looks all right, man.
Good. He's, you know, like got that fade coming on. He had to shave his beard off a couple of weeks ago and he wasn't happy, but no, how can I answer that? Come on, Russell. I've got no answer to that. The fact that, no.
Right, final question actually is from my mum.
Hi, Jamie. Big fan. What's your guilty secret?
Well, there you go. Have you got a guilty secret, Jay?
Your mum right now.
I mean, I walked into that. The naivety. Well done.
I mean, at the moment, I'm loving The Crown. I've gone into The Crown. That's my guilty pleasure at the moment. But is that a guilty pleasure? I think it's...
That can be guilty, yeah. I mean, it depends.
But I love it, though. I'm really
you...
into it. I'm only on series 2, but that's... Because I love the royal family, and I keep thinking to myself, I wonder what the Queen, or I wonder if they've ever watched it. That's what I keep. Have they ever been asked about what is like Kate and William or the Queen? Have they ever talked about it? I wonder.
I think they're furious with it. Generally because it's not the truth. So that their thing is like, oh, that it didn't happen like that. Whereas the makers of The Crown are like, well, it's creative license. So it would be a bit like them. Like, let's say there was a Netflix show called The Redknapps.
Yeah.
And then you watched it, and then you're like, hang on, it never happened like that.
Yeah.
And then everyone's coming back going, fucking hell, you used to eat your toenails. And you're like, I didn't eat them, I just clipped them. But it would be hilarious if the Queen said that at the Christmas speech this year, like, don't watch The Crown, it's all bullshit, none of it's real. But it is compelling, mate.
Have you watched it?
Oh, yeah. And my wife loves it. Like, so she's she's up to date. So I've only just got into it. So I'm probably like you. So I'm halfway through the first series.
I can watch it with your mum.
Jamie, please, you son of a bitch.
That's a nice. Over Christmas. That's the doorbell.
What you got there? What's coming here? I mean, I would love that. It would be great if you've had like a really full-on sex doll delivered like that. If it just was there. But yeah, exactly. Just comes in and it looks like my mum. What the fuck? So thank you so much for coming on the show, bud. That was really great.
It was great fun, and I know we've obviously gotten well over the years because of Liverpool and everything like that. So thanks for having me on. I've actually been a little bit annoyed it's taken this long to get me on.
Well, that's it. But we've saved the best till last. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Jamie Redknapp.
Thank you, Russell. Thanks, mate.
That was awesome. Lovely stuff. Join me after break when I'll be chatting to one of the stars of Spitting Image, Matt Forde. Welcome back to the show. My final guest tonight is a brilliant comedian and author. Matt Forde is a comedian, impressionist and one of the most astute political commentators in the country.
Good old-fashioned British values. Grammar schools, the cane, drink driving.
His award-winning podcast, The Political Party, sees him interview and debate with some of politics' most powerful and notorious figures. And recently, he's been a key figure behind the revival of Spitting Image.
I wouldn't worry about some dumb TV show, Boris. I mean, how are they going to make us look stupid? Can't be done.
Now, he brings us his best-selling book, Politically Homeless. Please welcome Matt Forde! Hey.
It's so good to see you again.
It's great to see you. I haven't seen you for like a year. It's so great to have you on the show, man.
We've known each other for years, so this is sort of like an odd, quite emotional reunion.
But what I love about you, not only you're like very... we both got very sort of flashy socks today, but you're very astute politically, but you're also phenomenal mimic. Like, I often... Because I attempt a Trump, but it's nowhere near yours.
Well, that is a great honour, by the way, Ricky. It's great to see you again. It is. It's an honour to be here appearing on the fake news media.
There's a number of things. Thank you. There's a number of things for a Trump impression.
Yeah.
Everyone starts with a different thing. For me, because a lot of people do this, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
I was sort of like the big rally Trump. We're gonna build, and starting off like that, the big and the face, and then he goes very soft Russell, which, as you know, is very beautiful, and we're gonna do that, and I know we are gonna do it. I know we're gonna do this. You know, one thing I did notice about him, he would pull like a little kind of I told you so face. I don't know if anyone ever noticed that. He'd go, and we're gonna do it, by the way, we're gonna do it everywhere, and I do know that. So weird.
It's excellent. It's very good. And what I love, like, not only are you very good at mimicking, you're also, like, you're a satirist that actually knows about politics. And you've got a new book out called Politically Homeless. What I find fascinating about the book is that it's sort of about becoming disenfranchised with politics. And in a way, that kind of feels like that's where we're at as a nation, that we're kind of fed up of it. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. That's partly why I wrote it. I got into politics really young.
Yeah, you were like 6, weren't you, or something like that?
7 or 8?
Yeah. So creepy.
So sad. But I didn't come from, like, a political background.
Right.
I just come from a normal house. My mum was a Labour supporter, and that was basically it.
Yeah.
But I remember the day Margaret Thatcher resigned, so I must have been 7 or 8, we're walking into town, and this bloke walks past my mum in the street and goes, she's out! She's out! She's fucking out!
And you thought they were on about your mum?
Exactly. Usually let her out, it's not big news. And as he walked past, and I swear to God, I think this is partly why it's seared in my memory, as he walked past, he was a punk rocker.
Yeah.
He carried on walking past, I followed him, and he had the bum cut out of his trousers.
Yeah.
And on each bum cheek, an eye tattooed on it.
Yeah.
So he kind of watched me as he went. And I think that kind of made me thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world needs...
So it was either politics or, you know, hypnosis.
Exactly. Yeah. So from then on, I was just like, oh, my God, this is amazing. And I thought, I think all politics has to come from, like, a principled position. So I thought the world was really unfair. You know, me and my sister had grown up in a single-parent household on benefits in the 1980s. It was very difficult. We didn't have any money. And I just thought, we're not getting I didn't feel like people like us were getting a fair crack of the whip. So I got involved in Labour as early as... It's so sad. Like, there's no way of talking about it that doesn't make it sound fucking insane. Well, I was 8 years old. I just thought I'd join the Labour Party.
Yeah. It's always intrigued me about you that you got into it so young. What kind of stuff were you doing? Were you like were you going door to door?
Yeah, I started...
Hello, Matt Forde, do you want to put this on?
What were you doing?
Yeah, you can only join the Labour Party at 15.
Right.
So I wrote to them at 14 and was like, I want to join the Labour Party. And they're like, you have to wait a year. And I was like, what the fuck sort of party is this?
Yeah.
You're not going to let me in? That was like most parties at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of standard experience I had as a 14-year-old. So then I joined at 15, and I would use my Labour Party membership as a fake ID. And it didn't even have my photo on it. I remember queuing up to get into this rough Nottingham pub once. The guy was like, got any ID, mate? I said, I've got the Labour Party ID. And he sort of looked at it like that. I said, you have to be 18 to join the Labour Party. He went, I know that, mate. In you go. I was like, oh, my God. Like, the Labour Party's the coolest thing ever. Like, we're going to sort the world out and we can all get pissed at 15. Like, this is... What's not to like?
And you've been on the lash. Like, you were on the lash with Tony Blair, weren't you?
I was just this was the problem with writing the book, was basically just, it wasn't really about politics, it was just a load of drinking stories. So I started working for Labour, and then I was working for Labour when they were in government, which feels like a very long time ago now. And basically, when you worked on a campaign, whether you won or lost, they'd have a party at Downing Street, and it was free Stella. I was like 18. They're like, oh, would you like a lager? Or we've got a Stella in massive It was like Freddie Flintoff's 21st. Like, this is incredible. It's like beer everywhere. Me and my mate P went. Got absolutely bladdered, like so drunk. At one point, I had to hold on to the mantelpiece. To like, this is in 10 Downing Street.
Wow.
They've let an oik in, and I've got... First thing I've done, I've got shit face.
Yeah.
I'm there.
I love the idea that Larry the cat's looking at it and you go, this guy needs a cab. So go on, you're hanging on to the...
Hanging on to the mantelpiece. Yeah. And we're in the room, it's called the Pillared Room, and that's where they have all the cabinet photos taken. Like, it's a grand room. It's the heart of the Prime Minister's house.
Yeah.
And within about 2 hours, we're plastered. And then some guy comes in and goes, oh, the Prime Minister will be in your company. I was like, fuck, the Prime Minister's coming. So I was like, I need to piss and I need to splash cold water on my face. So I just running around Downing Street trying to find this. Everyone else there is, like, prim and proper, behaving well. And I find the staircase, there's a couple of blokes there. I said, excuse me, mate, you don't know where the toilets are in here, do you? Tony Blair turns round. He said, well, if you follow the staircase down to the bottom of the stairs, it's the first corridor on the left and the first door on the right. You look like you're pretty desperate, so you better get a move on. I was like, cheers, Tony. Yeah, cheers, mate. Down there, like, I can't believe I've met him drunk at 18.
Wow.
So embarrassing.
And you've got a podcast called The Political Party.
That's right.
You interview people across all walks of the spectrum, which I think is vital at the minute, don't you think? Because we live in very tribal times where you can either be on this side or that side, you got this opinion or that. It feels like there's no sort of transgression across lines. Because I think, broadly speaking, you're left wing on some things, you're right wing on others. I just don't believe this idea that everyone is rabidly one thing or the other.
I totally agree. And I think you have to be really reasonable with people as long as they agree with you. But I interview people from all across, and I find it more interesting to talk to someone that I disagree with. I'm, like, New Labour, centre-left, broadly around the middle, my politics. I'm more interested to sit opposite a Conservative or a Lib Dem or someone on the hard left or a staunch Brexiteer and understand how they have reached a different conclusion to me.
Yeah.
So I just think that's... And social media and political discourse have created a skewed opinion, I think, of the country because most people have people in their friendship groups that are left-wing, right-wing, in the middle, Leave, Remain. Like, it's not unusual for normal people to have that. I think in politics we think it's unusual because we've become so tribal that we only hang around with people who are on Twitter, we only follow accounts that we like politically. I just don't think that's the real world. And I think in the real world, people are used to being more reasonable with each other. I mean, the one downside of having, like, Conservatives on the podcast is people email in and are like, you've got to stop having Tories on because you're making me like them.
Yeah.
Because you get people on that are like... I've had Jacob Rees-Mogg on, Tim Lawton, I've had, like, Brexiteers on there. And when you talk to someone that you really disagree with and they say, well, actually, my issue with Europe was this, you go, oh, right, yeah, I mean, I can sort of see why. I still disagree, but I can see how you would have a different perspective to me.
Yeah.
Rees-Mogg, right? Sometimes you ask someone the question, you think, I'm saving this up. I'm going to get in with this. And I said, is it true that when you stood for election in Scotland, you took your nanny out campaigning with you? Thinking that was like, deal with that one, buddy. And he went, yes, of course I did. Nanny is a part of the family. She would want me to get elected. Oh, yeah. It totally demystifies it.
And because people are so disenchanted with politics, there's a very serious question. How do you think we re-engage people with it?
You know what I actually think happened? I think both political parties went mad. And that is what drove people away. So the public were like, we're not turned on by any of this. Now, some people are. People who really want a hard Brexit are turned on, but people who think that Boris Johnson's, like, good, go, well, this is great. People who like Corbyn were fairly satisfied, but in the end, even if you liked Corbyn, he lost twice. So then, in the end, that's dissatisfying, because if you care about Labour or any party, you want it to win, because that's the only way you change the world. So I think it's that the people in charge of our political parties were reckless, and that drove the public away. The more you get political parties choosing responsible leaders, the public will come back. It's not a huge change that really needs to happen. But I also think politicians need to understand where the public are. The public aren't massively ideological. They just want a better life for themselves and they want a better life for the people they care about and wider society. that's not rocket science. So Boris Johnson as a Prime Minister, you're like, I actually can't believe it happened. You're still like, even now when you're like, we're rolling a vaccine out, you're like, he's the one in charge of all this. I can't. No, I think we are. We're going to get a vaccine. And you say, I can't feel any level of... There's only so much confidence I can ever have in a government that is led by that. I can't believe he's in charge. Of course people are turned off by politics, because you're like, that's not a serious leader.
Fucking right. I doubt he does the shopping in his house.
Well, if it's a family shop, he's got about 8 options.
I love that, man. That was absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please get up for the wonderful Matt Forde. Funny Tonight is good deeds and a care home that in these difficult times is doing everything possible to keep their residents happy.
Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Sachin.
We work at the Aura Care Village in Cirencester, and we've been making our residents' Christmas wishes come true.
This has been very, very difficult for everyone, especially people in care home. Hasn't been that contact with the family as much as you would like to. We came with the idea with the wishing tree to make residents' wishes come true. We've got our own genie in the home. His name is David.
We were asking residents, what would your wish be? And then we had so many wishes, we thought as it was Christmas, it would look really nice if we had them on a tree. And then the wishes started coming true. Guess what? Cliff Richard himself sent you this lovely video.
Hi there, Marjorie. I hear you're not well, and I just wanted to send this message to tell you you're in my thoughts and you're in my prayers. Lots of love and God bless.
God bless you, darling, too.
Oh, Marjorie.
Tears in the eyes.
Oh. Today we're fulfilling another wish. This one's for Dr. Cappy, who lives in the apartments. He wished to ride in a Bentley blower, which is a really rare car. We've managed to get 4 here today.
When I told David that my wish was to have a ride in a blown Bentley, I told him, I don't think you will be able to do it. So there was a challenge for him. And what did he do? We've got 2 lovely grandchildren, a boy and a girl. It's a long time since we've seen them with this blessed virus. Really, really a special day. One I can tell my grandchildren about. Well, that was an experience of a lifetime.
We've even started an outreach community wish. Someone wished for some real reindeer, so we thought it would be absolutely amazing if we could bring them to the care home.
My family are just down the road, really, and I haven't seen them since I came in here at Mars.
We're going to go and see some reindeer. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I've never seen reindeers before, and it makes you feel a bit more Christmassy, doesn't it? That's it.
Stand by down.
Well done.
That's brilliant.
We're definitely planning to grant more wishes towards Christmas and beyond.
Lovely stuff. Thanks so much for watching the show. Good night, my friends. Good night.